Marvel fans, you better brace yourselves because we just got a whole bunch of insane news about Avengers Doomsday and the future of the MCU that is going to change everything, literally. And we've officially gone 0 days without an Avengers Doomsday and Marvel update. But I'm talking the return of some familiar faces, a complete reboot of the MCU, a tease at a potential Kingpin versus Spider-Man story, and so much more. And you know what happens when I get some crumbs? I'm gonna make a 5-star meal. Cause either way, me and you know what we gotta do. We gotta talk about it. And all of this news and updates come to us exclusively from Alex Perez at the Cosmic Circus, who is a very reliable industry insider, as a part of part 2 of his August Q&A. And one of the biggest things that was discussed and mentioned was the reboot that's going to happen after Secret Wars, and how exactly that's all going to work. Who's going to be returning? What's going to be a part of the universe? Because mind you, we know there's going to be some type of reboot because the head honcho of Marvel Studios himself, Kevin Feige, let us know this. Back when he did that interview a couple weeks ago, he said that Avengers Secret Wars has the plan to reset singular timelines, and for all intents and purposes, reboot the MCU. But what exactly does that mean, and how is that going to look? Well, thanks to Alex Perez, he said he heard that the new Earth 616 or Earth 19999 will combine elements from all of these variant Earths to make it into the Earth 616 it was originally. While that last sentence might seem confusing, here's how he broke it down. Back when Avengers 5 was still titled the Kang Dynasty and featured Kang the Conqueror, one of the big twists in that script was how the Earth we have seen up to this point in the MCU and the films and shows was not actually Earth 616/19999, but rather a version of Earth 616/19999 cultivated by He Who Remains that removed many heroes from what was originally the Earth 616/19999. And in that script, they would have called it Earth Prime. And this would explain why Doctor Strange vaguely remembers the Fantastic Four as a band that charted in the 60s instead of them being world-renowned astronauts who gained powers after a space exploration, or why Eric Lensher never became Magneto, or why Charles Xavier was simply a college professor. So with that all in mind, how is the reset and reboot gonna look like? The reset that we're expecting in Avengers Secret Wars would alter that course of events and bring with it an Earth that was always meant to be filled with Avengers, X-Men, the Fantastic Four, etc. We'd basically be in the middle of a timeline where everyone in the world thinks that this has always been the case since the beginning of time. And funny enough, Alex Perez actually mentions a really good scene that we should all take a look at, which I'll play next. It's from season 6 of The Flash that takes place after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I could break it down, but I think Cisco does it the best. Roll the damn tape. And whether or not we're gonna get that same twist in Secret Wars that all of the heroes were originally supposed to be a part of the same universe, but He Who Remains /Kang/Doom separated them to keep them weaker. We'll have to wait and see. It's been a while since I read it, but if I remember correctly, in Hickman's Secret Wars, I believe it was Reed and Franklin who adjusted the timelines and fixed all the incursions from happening and basically just got things back to normal. And in Ultimate Invasion, that's when we get the Maker who kind of fucks everything up and we get that cool new Ultimate Universe, which I hope they do at some point in time. I just absolutely love Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man run, so I'm selfishly hoping they adapt this at some point in time. But with that, Alex Perez mentioned that we're gonna get specific heroes and villains returning. Specifically, there's gonna be multiple dead heroes and villains that are gonna return in the MCU post-Secret Wars reboot, due to the fact that past events are gonna happen differently. So that could set up the return for people like Thanos. Maybe we get Quicksilver back. Obviously, Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Talos, Maria Hill, etc., etc. Which, just like Thanos, you knew it was inevitable. Now, one character that won't be recast after Avengers Secret Wars is actually the Scarlet Witch. It seems like they're fully intent on keeping Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch /Wanda Maximoff. And I know she's technically dead in the MCU at this point. We'll have to wait and see if she comes back in Secret Wars or Doomsday. But I feel like this would have been the perfect time to get out of that, you know, especially with as much as Elizabeth Olsen talks about trying to take her career into a different turn. But, you know, she is a moneymaker. Like, everyone loved WandaVision. Everyone loves Elizabeth Olsen in this role. And as long as she wants to continue doing it, I could see why they don't want to recast her. Honestly, there are still so many different stories they can adapt with the Scarlet Witch that I can see why they wouldn't want to recast her. Now, characters that we know for sure will not appear in Avengers Secret Wars or Doomsday are the Eternals. Alex Perez specifically mentioned that the Eternals will not be appearing in Secret Wars, and I doubt they'll be in Avengers Doomsday either. Which is kind of a shame because I feel like their entire origin with the Celestials and everything play a kind of a key factor in the Secret Wars storyline. I know it's not really the Celestials themselves that play a huge factor, but within the context of the MCU, they're the ones creating universes and shit. But there are so many other concepts they got to introduce in Secret Wars, like the priests, the Black Swans, the Beyonders, etc. I can see why they don't want to get too convoluted into the mess of how the multiverse and life itself in the Marvel Universe works. And it's a shame because I actually kind of fuck with the Eternals. But picking back up with the Deadpool news, we actually got conflicting reports from a couple of trades. Like, the Hollywood Reporter is saying that Deadpool is definitely going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but then we got Deadline saying that he won't appear. And I mean, okay, Deadline, I get it, but when you have Ryan Reynolds himself tweeting out pictures of the Avengers logo with the Anarchy symbol, like, I think, like, why else would he tweet that out for no fucking reason? Especially since it's different than the one from the Deadpool Wolverine movie. And also, why wouldn't you try to capitalize on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine by having Deadpool in the Avengers movies when you're trying to make as much money as you can? I'm inclined to believe that he will be in the movie. I believe the Hollywood Reporter's report, but I feel like Deadline is kind of just trying to play some damage control. But I mean, if I'm Marvel, like, I would want it to be known known that Deadpool's gonna be in this movie. What are we talking about? And he'll probably get announced whenever they make a second wave of cast announcements for Doomsday. Either way, I think these Avengers movies are gonna have nuts in it. Now let's go ahead and do our yellow sparkly Marvel circle thing and head on over to some interesting updates about Doctor Strange and Clea. Alex Perez gave nice little hints and teases at what Doctor Strange's story and Clea's story could be in the upcoming Avengers movies. And he's most likely gonna have his third Doctor Strange film take place in between the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars, since we know there's an untitled MCU project that's supposed to come out between those two movies. It would only make sense if it was Doctor Strange 3, since it seems like he's going to be dealing with incursions in that film. Because when Clea showed up, she mentioned incursions and he went to the Dark Dimension with her. And taking these little hints and teases from Alex Perez, if I had to guess, I think Doctor Strange is going to have to make another very difficult decision by stopping an incursion, causing an incursion, similar to how he gave up the Time Stone. Because mind you, Clea is the niece of Dormammu, so I feel like she's clearly going to have some ulterior motive within the context of the MCU, even though they, do end up getting married and love each other. They do have to make difficult decisions throughout the comics. So I could definitely see them playing that role for these Avengers films. Now I'm going to keep it a stack of pancakes with you. A Doctor Strange movie that takes place entirely within the Dark Dimension sounds like a lot of blue screen and green screen, but actually could be fucking fire from like a psychedelic perspective. I need to see those visuals. Who's going to be directing? Regardless, let's move on over to my favorite piece of news, because as you guys know, as much as I'm excited for Doomsday and Secret Wars, Spider-Man is my guy, Daredevil, Punisher. I love the street level side of Marvel Comics. And according to Alex Perez, Marvel Studios indeed has plans to have Spider-Man fight Kingpin at some point in time in the MCU. I'm not asking penance for what I've done, neighbors. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do, because this shit makes sense to me. Like, this has to mean they're going to be adapting Devil's Reign at some point in time in the MCU, because they basically have already started in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, or 1, which will lead into Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and there's no way in hell that they're going to just solve it in Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, because if they do, I'm going to be in your walls, Kevin. And one of the interesting pieces of news that Alex Perez gave us is that he said he could see a mid-credit scene or a post-credit scene in Brand New Day teasing this potential fight with the Kingpin. A few weeks back, Wilson Fisk actor Vincent D'Onofrio actually let it be known that the rights for Kingpin are a little complicated, but I looked into it, and it's just because Sony and Marvel both own the rights for Kingpin, just in vast majority. Like, there's differences. But since MCU Spider-Man movies are a collaboration between Sony and the Marvel Studios anyway, I feel like it's easy for them to just say, hey, let's put Kingpin in a Spider-Man movie. I believe there's two characters that Marvel Studios and Sony own to varying degrees. It's Kingpin and Jessica Drew. I think Marvel Studios owns TV rights fully, Sony owns film rights fully, and they need permission from one or the other. It's complicated. But regardless, you already know we about to get Big Willie versus Spider-Man, and I need that. We need that. But only time will tell. Those are all the new news and updates we got about the future of Marvel Studios, the new Avengers movies, Spider-Man, etc., etc. My thoughts, theories, and opinions. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.